What's going on? This is Big G from G Riders and welcome to another episode of Testing Rides. Today, I'm going to be testing out the 2019 Ford Edge Titanium. Welcome to the 2019 Ford Edge. The Ford Edge introduced back in the 2007 model year as the perfect in-between vehicle between the small Ford Escape and the bigger Ford Explorer. And now in 2019, this is definitely one of Ford's more popular models of SUV because of its perfect size. So it's no secret that Ford has been getting rid of all their smaller vehicles over the last couple of years. So they're like basically going to be no more sedans left. Only kind of car vehicles are going to be left in the next couple of years is the Ford Mustang only. So every Ford SUV kind of fills a space now that a sedan used to fill. So kind of back when the sedans were popular, there was the Fiesta, the Focus, the Fusion, and the Taurus. So the Ford Edge is kind of the Fusion size SUV type vehicle that kind of fills that market now. So it starts at about $30,000 and goes up to a pretty high price. And that's kind of the same type of sedan market that the Ford Fusion used to fill. So for the 2019 model year, the Ford Edge has been updated. It has gotten some new trim levels. It has been updated in terms of the front fascia, the rear fascia, and some interior parts. And also it has an updated transmission for the 2019 model year. So all Ford Edges come standard with the inline turbocharged four-cylinder, making 250 horsepower and 280 foot-pounds of torque. But when I was scrolling through Ford's website, those numbers were tested on 93 octane gas. So I'm guessing it gets significantly less. It has significantly less than that because when I was driving it, didn't feel like it had 250 horsepower and 280 foot-pounds of torque. It felt like a lot less. It's probably making about 230 horsepower, 220 horsepower, something like that, versus 250 horsepower. But since this vehicle is kind of on the same platform as kind of the Explorer, as the outgoing Explorer, because 2020 is going to be new Explorer, of course, this does weigh over 4,100 pounds, which is quite a bit for an SUV of this size, but it does get pretty good gas mileage at 23 in the city and 28 out on the highway due to that pretty efficient four-cylinder engine and the new 8-speed transmission. So, you know, this is a heavy SUV. This is a heavy soft-feeling SUV, but it does get pretty decent fuel economy. And I have averaged about 26 miles to the gallon in my about 250 miles of driving this vehicle, which is pretty good. And when I was on the highway, it was averaging about 30 miles to the gallon, which is great. And I'm glad that Ford has finally gave these cars kind of a few more gears to get a little bit better fuel economy and have just a little bit kind of better acceleration, to be honest, because the old 6-speed transmission just felt too old, and I'm glad they finally updated it for the 2019 model year. So the Edge Titanium is the most loaded Ford Edge that you can get with the four-cylinder turbo. So they have the SC, and Ford has the SC and the SEL, and this is the Titanium. The Titanium is the most loaded of the Ford Edges that you can get in the four-cylinder model. So the Ford Edge Titanium starts at about $40,000 or so. Starts a little bit under $40,000, but this one has all-wheel drive and the 301A package. The 301A package adds the panoramic sunroof, has Ford safety systems, which is, they call it the Ford Pilot 360. I'll put the exact name of the safety system down there, that has adaptive cruise control, lane keep assist, and the adaptive cruise control does stop and go traffic, and also the lane keep assist the car can kind of drive itself on the highway, which is kind of cool. And also this car also has factory navigation. So with the 301A package and all-wheel drive, this Ford Edge is $46,000, which is honestly kind of a lot of money, but considering the simple fact that it comes with a lot of good standard features, and it's the fully loaded model, that's actually not horrible at all. It's kind of on par with the rest of the cars that are in this car class. And this kind of the bigger 5-seater mid-size crossover that is typically on a platform that has 7 seats but doesn't, like, it's becoming very, very popular. Everybody is making one now. Nissan has the Murano, Honda has the Passport, Chevy came back with the Trailblazer, not the Trailblazer but the Blazer, and you know, everybody's making one of these now. And honestly, between the Murano and these are kind of the early ones that came out kind of to fill that gap. So it's exactly on par with exactly what the other companies are charging for these size SUVs with this amount of features. So let's go ahead and take a look around the vehicle before we take it out on the road to drive. Welcome to the walk around of the 2019 Ford Edge. Let's go ahead and start in the front of the Edge and let's take a look at the new front. So for the 2019 model year, the Ford Edge is a facelift model. So they updated the front and the rear a lot, and I like the new headlights. So it has an LED daytime running lights, 4 LED headlights, and LED turn signals and LED fog lights, which look pretty nice. I think this front of the new Ford Edge matches the rest of the Ford lineup a little bit better. Because before, the Ford Edge looked like it kind of matched the Ford lineup, but not 100%, not really 100%. But now with this update, it definitely looks like it matches the front. And before, it had like some weird little daytime running lights in the fog light area. Before, honestly, I didn't understand why they put those there. So it's nice that they replaced it with some actual traditional LED daytime running lights and some traditional fog lights. I think that's way better. So as we're looking around the car here, this car does have parking sensors all around it, because this car does have the self-parking feature, which is pretty cool, but sometimes it takes too long for it to kind of work. But it's a very cool feature. And also, since this car does have adaptive cruise control and all that, it has its sensors up at the top there. Let's go ahead and zoom in up there. But I think the front of the new Ford Edge looks pretty nice. And also, you see right there, right below the Ford badge, there is a front camera there. So walking on to the side of the Ford Edge, everything kind of looks the same. I mean, it does have new wheel options. So it does have these 19-inch wheels that come standard on the titanium model, but honestly, they look kind of small. They look like 18s, to be honest. And if I bought a Ford Edge titanium, I'll probably get the 20s, just because it'll fill out the wheel well a little bit better. But I think the wheel design is pretty nice. So kind of just like I was saying about like kind of where this car filled the slot. Like this is like the Ford Fusion SUV, if you will. So it does have like the old kind of Ford Fusion style door handles, to where it had like the chrome strip down the middle, and then the notches on the top to lock and unlock. And it's on all 4 doors. All right. So coming around to the back of the Ford Edge, they changed the back. They changed the back quite a bit. So the previous body style of the Ford Edge had kind of the wraparound tail lights, kind of like the Dodge Charger, and they exchanged it in favor of these kind of newer looking headlights that just kind of loops around just like that. And it has LED, that's full LED, so it has LED turn signals, the LED tail lights, and like LED. It's just full LEDs in the back. So I think that looks pretty nice, and I think that's really good that Ford did that. But I mean, the ones before were all full LED too, but I think I'm kind of glad they got rid of the full LED strip, because I mean that was cool for a while, but I've seen a lot of them that had those little pieces, those strips out, which probably annoyed people who own those cars. And I like this little more aggressive little diffuser thing at the bottom there. I think that looks pretty good. So one cool thing that came out with the Ford Escape back in 2013 that has been adapted to the Ford Edge is the kick tailgate. So when you walk up and you have the key on you, all you gotta do is kick under the bumper, and the tailgate opens up, which I think is really cool. As you can see, a lot of space back here. Lots of space back here, because this, as I've said before, this is the in-between SUV between the Ford Escape and the Ford Explorer. So it's gonna have a big cargo area. So coming on over here to the driver's side, it does have just a normal push to open gas tank with capless. Ford has been doing capless for a long time. I don't know why it wouldn't change on this one. And let's go ahead and open it up. So there is the inside of the 2019 Ford Edge. So before I get inside the 2019 Ford Edge, let's kind of take a look just around kind of some new things for the interior here. So as you can see here, it now has a Bang & Olufsen sound system that Ford replaced with the Sony sound system. Honestly, I don't think it's that good. Ford sound engineers need to do a little bit more work on the sound systems on these cars. Like, it's clear, but the bass is just not there to where it should be. So Ford should probably work on that a little bit more. And also has some LED kick plates down there. That light up edge. They're a little bit dirty because I've been driving the car and I don't really detail the cars when I have them like that. It doesn't really matter to me that much because I'm not really looking at the interior that much. And also, as you can see up top, it has the giant panoramic sunroof, which is pretty nice. And with the new 8-speed transmission, Ford exchanged the shifter with a knob, which honestly I like the knob a lot more than a lot of people, just because I feel like it does save a lot of space, and they do that for a reason. And once you get in, and once you've been driving this car for a little bit, you'll definitely get used to it. And it does have some cool safety features that will kind of make sure you're not driving away with the car and drive. But if you forget to put it in park. And I'm glad that also they put a traction control off button right there instead of built into the menu somewhere. I think that's very nice, and I'm glad that they did that. So let's go ahead and hop inside the 2019 Ford Edge and see how it feels. So welcome to the interior of the 2019 Ford Edge. And honestly, the interior hasn't changed a whole lot from last year's Ford Edge, just because this is only a mid-cycle refresh, so they don't do drastic overhauls of the interior at that point. But I've always liked the Ford Edge interior. It's kind of like the best of kind of the current Ford at the time. So it does have the Sync 3 system here that has Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. It does have, heated and cooled seats down there because this is a loaded version of the Ford Edge. Has a little storage compartment up top there, which is nice. It does have the USB ports down there, and also has a wireless charger for 2019 model year. And, I like this little silver trim over here on the door panels. There's a lot of gloss black in here, but that's kind of the thing to do now in cars. And the steering wheel design is pretty nice, and it has like the little paddle shifters on the back, which don't work very well. Honestly, I don't understand why they're even here. But they're there. And then because this has the Ford Copilot 360 system, it does have the adaptive cruise control and the lane keep assist and all that stuff there, which is really nice. And this kind of interior is decent, but it's definitely starting to show its age because Ford has kind of been launching a new interior design language, and it's coming with the new Ford Escape and the new Ford Explorer. So it's going to be time to see like a new interior here pretty soon, because I'm pretty sure this car is probably going to get redesigned here in the next 2 years or so. So I'm excited to see what they do with that. But the Ford Edge is pretty nice because it has really good space. Like, it has like kind of the nicer, sportier seats that you would have found in the Fusion Titanium this past year before the car goes out of production. And also, like, as you can see, guys, you guys know I'm a big dude, over 350 pounds, over 6 feet tall, and I got plenty of space in here, plenty of shoulder room, plenty of headroom. And with this giant panoramic sunroof, it makes it for a nice, spacious interior. And like, now that they got rid of kind of like the shifter, it kind of saves a lot of space down here. And I like the position of the cup holders. And then you got like a little slot right there to put your phone, but put my phone in right there. But only thing I wish they would have made it so you can feed your cord through the bottom of there and plug your phone in like that, instead of having to have it in there. Because like sometimes all the cords and all that gets a little bit messy and it gets a little bit out of control. But it's not that big of a deal. It's probably something that they'll change the look at in the future. But for now, the interior of the 2019 Ford Edge is actually pretty decent, pretty nice. Like, not a whole lot of cheap plastics. There are some like around the infotainment screen here, but for the most part, everything is pretty well built in this car, and it definitely feels like a over $40,000 vehicle. So with that said, let's go ahead and take it on the road. I'm not going to show the back seat or nothing, any of that stuff, just because nothing has really changed. Like, it has plenty of room back there. I don't really need to go into detail about it. So let's go ahead and take it on the road and see how it drives. Welcome to the driving portion of the 2019 Ford Edge Titanium. So when you hop on the road, the first thing that you notice is this car is very comfortable to drive. It has a great seated position, a great commanding view out on the road, great visibility on all the windows. It's just a pretty good SUV in terms of visibility. The ride is very comfortable too, actually. So like, I'm going over some quite rough roads, and I'm feeling just the road changes, but it's not really jarring or uncomfortable, which is a pretty good trait for an SUV like this to have. One thing that I've noticed though is that in certain seating positions, my head kind of touches the roof, which is a little annoying, but I'm assuming that's loss of headroom due to the big sunroof. I got all the headroom in the world from this giant sunroof. And also, I love the fact that this car has a big panoramic sunroof, because it lets a lot of natural light in here, and it makes the interior feel a lot bigger than it is. So, you know, the Ford Edge Titanium drives pretty nice. Like, it drives like any other SUV in this class, to be honest. Like, SUVs in this class need to be comfortable. They need to have good visibility. They need to have plenty of space, because this is the in-between crossover between the small crossover and the bigger 7-seater family crossover. So it has to have good visibility, good comfort, good everything. It has to be kind of the space and size of that 7-seater crossover without having that extra length. And this Ford Edge definitely has that. So, you know, basic things like steering, it's like Ford SUV steering. It's not a sports car. So, like, there's not even no reason to talk about it. It's really easy, really fluid, really easy to maneuver, really fluid, just overall just good SUV steering as terms of like ease of drive. And honestly, like, with this has the 4-cylinder turbo, making 250 horsepower, 280 foot-pounds of torque that was tested on 93 octane gas. So there's regular in this one. So there's 87 octane gas in this one. So with this one, this probably gets about like 220 horsepower or something like that. And honestly, it doesn't feel like it's a whole lot. Like, it's enough to get you moving, but it's not very impressive. So I'm sure that it's a lot better on premium gasoline when it's getting the numbers it says it's supposed to get. So now this is a very, very, very competitive class now. So just like 5 or 6 years ago, there weren't that many SUVs in this class. Now there are so many from all car companies. So the Nissan has the Murano, Honda has the Passport, Hyundai has the Santa Fe. Like, I don't think Kia has one yet, but the slot that Kia, that's going to be filling for Kia, is the Kia Sorento. Even though the Kia Sorento does have a third row, it's kind of more of the size like this, where it shouldn't have a third row, but it does, because they just introduced the Telluride, which is the big 7-seater family crossover that can supposed to compete with the Explorer. So let's say the Kia has a Sorento. You know, literally everybody has one now. Even like, and everybody has them since SUVs are the thing now. So this vehicle, in my opinion, is very good, but I feel like even with this update, it's starting to feel a little bit dated. And I know there are some people that are loyal Ford Edge people, but just because there's so many new players in the game now, even though this has been facelifted, I think it's really time for a redesign with this car. I do like the updates. I like the small things that added with the update. It's just like the styling, the transmission, the powertrain, kind of the reworked everything here. But it just feels like a car. It feels like I've driven this car has kind of been the same ever since like 2012, 2013, when it had its first mid-cycle refresh in the first generation. It feels exactly the same as that car, which is not a bad thing, because the Ford Edge is a very comfortable, very easy car to drive. But there are a lot more newer, modern players in this game. So the Ford Edge is a great SUV if you like Ford SUVs in general, and you kind of want to just get like the in between the Explorer and the Escape. This is a great car, but there are so many options in this class. You probably should go test drive a couple more options besides the Ford Edge. I'm not saying you shouldn't buy the Ford Edge. I'm just saying you should keep your options open and look at everything in this class. What I recommend you doing is to keep your options open, look at everything, but the Ford Edge is definitely a great option if you like Ford SUVs, vehicles with pretty good fuel economy, pretty good space, and if you just know how everything works in Fords, this is the perfect SUV for you. Ford has the ST, which is supposed to be sporty, but really in terms it's just a rebadged Ford Edge Sport. And I kind of don't like the simple fact they brought the ST name back just for crossovers. I think that should have been really reserved for the sedans, and they should have come up with a different name, or just kept it as the Sport, as they have been doing for the past couple years with the Ford Edge and the Ford Explorer. because when the Ford Explorer comes out, there's going to be a Ford Explorer ST also. And I hope if they want to keep the ST name, they let you have a rear-wheel drive option for the ST. I think that'd be pretty cool. But talking about this one, the Ford Edge is a very good SUV. It looks really good. Everything is really easy to use. It's easy to drive. It's just an easy car to own. So if you want a nice American SUV that's just very easy to own, easy to drive, everything about it is easy, you should definitely take a look at the 2019 Ford Edge. Whether that's the SE, the SEL, or the Titanium, or the ST, they're all great SUVs, and I would highly recommend buying this SUV if you're looking for just an easy vehicle to own. So if you like this video, hit me with a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and keep riding me. Thanks for watching.